The first time my mother said she was dead, the hallway bulbs buzzed like insects trapped in glass, and the windows wore the rain like a bruise. She sat in her favorite chair with her knees tucked under her chin, the afghan pooling like moss, and watched the front door as if something outside were staring back. "I'm dead," she said, almost apologetic. Her breath fogged in the warm room. I told her not to joke, but the smell of wet leaves drifted in, though every window was shut. After that, she moved strangely, tiny, careful steps, rolling her weight heel to toe as if the floor might crack under her. When she slept, she curled into herself and flinched from touch. When she walked, shadows gathered around her like small animals. She stopped cooking. She stopped turning on lights. She asked us, my father, my sister, me, to find her body.
"Give me a funeral," she said. "Let me go." She said she could see her skin softening at the edges, the way fruit does, and that she could smell herself somewhere in the woods.
We told her she was here. We pointed to the laundry she'd folded, the mug she'd chipped, the hummingbird brooch still pinned to her robe. She blinked at these proofs like they were tricks. "I came home late," she said. "I never came home." She'd left to meet a friend, and the night did what November nights do: slicked the road, erased the horizon. Her car wasn't in the driveway the next morning. We assumed she'd taken a ride, that she'd forgotten to text. She shook her head. "I slid," she whispered. The guardrail gave. It was quick. You didn't hear me. My father called hospitals. My sister scrolled community posts and maps with shaky fingers. I followed my mother down the hall, where the dark seemed to deepen as she passed, and watched her stop at the mirror. She stared, not finding her own face, and left crescent moons of dirt on the glass. Pine needles appeared on the doormat. The house smelled like rain and iron. The phone rang on the third day. An officer said a car had been found beyond the turn where the trees close in. Nose down among bracken, the chassis twisted. A body inside, female, days old. A description that fit. Could someone come to identify? The word identify stuck to my tongue like frost. I hung up, and my mother was already in the doorway, small and shivering, eyes wide with a sadness that made the room tilt. Cold moved past me, through me, a patient tide sliding under doors. She touched my sleeve. "See you at the funeral," she said, and her hand turned to breath on my skin. We went to the morgue. The sheet, the tag, the polite practice quiet. My father nodded once and couldn't again. My sister made a sound I have still not found words for. I leaned in, but the smell of rain-soaked earth rose first. And for a second, I was back in our hallway, lights buzzing, something unseen waiting by the door. On the way home, the car heater blew, and I could not warm my hands. The house was darker when we unlocked it, as if it had been holding its breath. Somewhere deep in the walls, I thought I heard my mother pacing, heel to toe, practicing leaving. Even after the funeral, the scent of wet leaves clung to the air in the house, a constant reminder of her unsettling departure. Every creak of the floorboards and whisper of the wind seemed to echo her final words. "See you at the funeral." Sleep became a battleground, each night haunted by vivid nightmares of the car accident and my mother's vacant eyes. I would wake up gasping for air, the smell of rain and iron filling my lungs. My father and sister tried to move on to rebuild our shattered lives, but the silence in the house was deafening. It was as if her absence had created a void that could never be filled. One evening, I found my sister staring at her reflection in the mirror, her eyes wide with a familiar terror. "I think I'm starting to see her," she whispered, her voice barely audible. The humming of the hallway bulbs intensified, echoing the same unsettling buzz from the night my mother first declared her death. The house seemed to be coming alive, its darkness growing more menacing. We tried to leave, to escape the oppressive atmosphere of the house, but every road seemed to lead us back. It was as if we were trapped in a never-ending loop, forever bound to the memory of my mother's death. One night, I woke up to find my father standing over my bed, his eyes wide with a vacant stare. He was holding the hummingbird brooch, his fingers stained with dirt. "She wants it back," he whispered. The house began to crumble around us, the walls cracking and the floors collapsing. It was as if the very structure was mirroring our own decaying minds. We found ourselves drawn to the woods, compelled by an unseen force to follow the scent of rain and iron. The trees seemed to whisper my mother's name, beckoning us deeper into the darkness. At the edge of a ravine, we found the wreckage of the car, its twisted metal gleaming in the moonlight. A spectral figure stood beside it, beckoning us closer. As we approached, the figure turned to reveal my mother's face, her eyes hollow and her skin decaying. "Join me," she whispered, her voice a raspy echo from beyond the grave. My father and sister succumbed to her call, their bodies falling limp and their eyes turning vacant. They walked towards the ravine, drawn by an unseen force. I alone resisted, clinging to the last vestiges of my sanity. I knew that if I joined them, I would be lost forever, trapped in her nightmarish world. With a final act of defiance, I turned away from the ravine and fled into the darkness, leaving my family behind. I knew I could never return, but I had to survive to tell the story of what had happened. I wandered for days, haunted by the memories of my family and the chilling presence of my mother's ghost. I knew that she would never truly let me go. But I also knew that I had to keep moving, to keep fighting, to keep telling the story of what had happened to my family. It was the only way to keep their memory alive and to prevent others from falling victim to the same darkness. I am telling you this story because I am not sure how long I have left. I can feel her presence growing stronger each day, but someone has to know what happened. Someone has to remember. If you are reading this, it means she has found me. Remember what happened. Remember my mother. Remember my family. Do not let their story be forgotten.